Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Now we only have 2 days until the Packers face off against the Washington football team. The Washington football team will be coming into Lambeau Field at 2-4, currently in second place in the NFC East to face off against the Green Bay Packers, who have currently won 5 wins in a row, going for win number 6. So I want to sort of go through this game, sort of talk about, I think, the biggest potential challenge facing the Packers for this game, but then sort of give some more thoughts on just everything regarding this game between the Packers and the Washington football team. And if you guys have yet to subscribe, you want to see more Packers content, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel down below. So if we take a look at this Washington football team, their defense is actually in a pretty interesting situation. So according to PFF, they have the best defensive front, or the second best defensive front when it comes to pass rush grade. You know, having Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat over there. But then they have the second to last worst ranked coverage grade in the NFL. So they have one of the best pass rushing units in the NFL and one of the worst coverage units in the NFL. So that has led to them being the worst scoring defense in the NFL, allowing about 31 points per game. They have given up the most pass yards in the NFL, allowing 309.5 passing yards per game, and they have the 19th best rushing defense, giving up about 113.5 rush yards per game. So there's no question that the biggest challenge in this game for the Packers, and I'd say the only way, or the way that would make the most sense for the Packers to lose this one, which I don't personally think they're going to lose this one, is if this offensive line isn't able to handle, Chase Young especially. So Chase Young is going to be on the left side there, facing off against Billy Turner. So far this year, Chase Young has 20 pressures, 2 sacks. He had 2 pretty solid games, 7 pressures in a game versus the Saints, and 6 pressures in a game versus Buffalo. So he'll be facing off against Billy Turner, who so far this year has been, I say, an average tackle. He's the 39th graded tackle in the NFL, graded by PFF. He's given up 14 pressures and 3 sacks so far this year. So he's done a pretty solid job. But Chase Young is a different kind of animal. He's going to be going up against Billy Turner. And so that could be a challenge for Billy Turner coming into this game. This Packers offensive line still a little bit beat up. Josh Myers is going to be missing some more time. David Bakhtiari luckily was practicing this week for the first time, so hopefully he'll be back soon. So this Packers line has done a pretty solid job, I'd say, doing well, even though they've been dealing with lots of these injuries. But this will definitely be a good test for this Packers offensive line. But personally, I think Aaron Rodgers is still going to be able to tear apart this Washington football team defense, just because even though they have a solid pass rush, their coverage unit just has not been good at all. If we take a look at their past 3 games, they've given up 30 or more points in the past 3 games. So I see no reason why Aaron Rodgers won't pick this, Washington football team defense apart. And the fact that this Packers offense just gets the ball out so quickly, sort of minimizes that pass rush when it does come. And so I think that the Packers are going to find a way to put up points against this Washington football team. I see no reason why the Packers can't put up 30-plus points in this game. So if we take a look here, I want to take a look at Aaron Rodgers' stats, sort of how he's been doing the past few weeks. As you can see, last week versus the Bears, the Packers held up, pretty nicely overall, I'd say, against that Bears pass rush. They did get there a few times, but Aaron Rodgers, 195 yards, passing, 2 touchdowns, 128 rating, so very efficient, almost 74% completion percentage. Versus the Bengals, 344 yards, 2 TDs, 1 pick. Versus the Steelers, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions. So overall in the year, he's been pretty good. I mean, as Aaron Rodgers typically is. His one bad game, of course, was that Saints game. But I think coming up against one of the worst coverage units in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams are going to have a field day, because Davante Adams has been balling out majority of the games this year, as he typically does. And so facing off against a very, very bad coverage unit, I think Davante Adams is going to have a monster game in this one. And then, of course, the Packers running backs have also been studs this year. Right now, they're both ranked in the top 10 when it comes to PFF grades for running backs. And I put out a video the other day sort of about how good A.J. Dillon has been. He's been pretty similar, producing at a pretty similar level to Aaron Jones. So just the fact that the Packers, when they take Aaron Jones off the field, still have a guy who I'd say is one of the better running backs in the NFL. So it's going to be tough for this Washington football team, their defense, to, I think, put up a fight against Aaron Rodgers. But if they do, I think it will be with their pass rush, because that is their, probably the strength of this Washington football team defense. And then if we take a look here at this Washington football team offense coming up against the Packers defense, Ryan Fitzpatrick did go down in week 1 for the Washington football team, meaning Taylor Heineke has been playing there, majority of the season, pretty much all the season so far for them. And so if we take a look at his stats, he's pretty up and down. He's had some really, really good games and then some pretty ugly games. If we take a look here so far this season, so last week versus the Chiefs, 182 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, 70 rating, so not great. A really bad game versus the Saints, 248 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 47.6 grade. Then he's had a couple pretty solid games versus the Falcons. 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 127 rating. 330 yards versus the Giants, 2 touchdowns. So I do think that you never exactly know what you're going to get from Tyler Heinicke. He could come in there, have a really solid game. He could come in there, throw a lot of picks, as seen from his 9 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So I think that this Packers defense is going to get at least 1 interception in this game. They've done a pretty good job of getting takeaways so far this season. Right now, they're actually tied for the 7th most takeaways per game in the NFL, averaging about 1.5 takeaways per game. And I think the biggest test for this Packers defense coming into this game is going to be getting pressure on the quarterback, just because, according to PFF, the Washington football team has the best graded pass rushing unit, or pass blocking offensive line in the NFL. And the Packers are already without Za'Darius Smith, as we have been pretty much every game this season. And then Preston Smith is likely to be out in this game. So the Packers' 2 best pass rushers probably won't be playing in this game. Za'Darius Smith definitely not playing. Preston Smith potentially not playing in this one. So Rashawn Gary, still a beast. I think he could have a good day. It's going to be a good test for him. And then also Jonathan Garvin, I'd say, has been stepping up the past few weeks. And then also the Packers did recently come in and sign, in this past week, Whitney Mercilus, who's going to be playing this week for this Packers defense. So we'll see if him coming to Green Bay, leaving the Houston Texans, can sort of rejuvenate his career. I was reading that he was in a different kind of scheme there in the last couple of years in Houston, and coming back to Green Bay, he's basically in a scheme that could be better fit for his style and his playing ability. So we'll see if that happens. I'm hoping it does, because the Packers, definitely need some help here on the defensive line with all the injuries we've been suffering, especially on this defensive side of the ball. So we'll see if the Packers defense can do it. I'm excited to see, if Rashawn Gary, Jonathan Garvin, Whitney Mercilus can sort of come in here and, put up a fight against this Washington football team offensive line. Of course, we have Kenny Clark there as well. He's always a beast. And if we take a look at the Washington football team, their run blocking grade, they actually have the 23rd best. So even though they are one of the best when it comes to pass blocking, they're not as great when it comes to blocking against the run. They do have Antonio Gibson over there. He's on my fantasy team. He's struggled a little this year, honestly. I was expecting him to do a little bit better, but he's still a talented back. He has been dealing with some shin injuries, but he should be going this game. We'll see if he ends up playing in this one. So overall, sort of my final takeaways from this game, I think this is going to be a game that the Packers come in and win by a lot. I say a 10-plus point win. I think the Packers will put up 30-plus points, being at home versus one of the worst coverage units in the NFL, a team that has given up 30 points in 3 straight games. I see no reason why the Packers can't be another team to come in there and put up points against this Washington football team defense. So my score prediction for this game is going to be Packers 38, Washington football team, I'm going to go with 21 points. That's my score prediction. Drop your guys' score prediction in the comments down below. I'm curious to see if you guys, what you guys think about this one, what you guys think the Packers will be able to do against this Washington football team. But that is going to be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, drop a like if you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next video.